So welcome, Kieron Salmons. Thank you very much for coming on the show and getting involved. But yeah, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, all good. I've got plenty to ask, but I wanted to start by asking for anyone watching it at home but wasn't sure. Could you explain your role within UK Motorsports?
Yeah, so I started as a marshal when I was 14 years old at Castle Combe. I started in the paddock, just doing, lining up cars, making sure drivers are ready to go out, making sure the cars are scrutineering tickets. And then I've progressed now to be a probationary clerk of the course. So basically a trainee clerk of the course and safety car observer in the British Touring Car Championship.
Absolutely. Well, I've got plenty to ask about that, but I was going to start by asking you, when did you first become interested in motorsports?
I've been interested in motorsport all my life. My dad was a marshal he's been a marshal now for nearly 30 years. And I've been interested in motorsport since I was about 6. So I used to go along with him and enjoy watching and being in and around it all. And then when I was old enough, when I turned 14, obviously I got involved. I think it was a little bit from my mum as well to make sure that he took me along because he was away a lot doing his motorsport. So it was either that or he'd have to sit at home doing the shopping. So yeah.
Was it something you wanted to get involved with straight away? Was it always an area you wanted to go into?
Yeah, I've always loved it. I've always had a passion for it, and I always wanted to get involved in the marshalling side of things because that's what my dad did. I found it really enjoyable once I got the bug. It bit me hard, and been doing it ever since.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I was then going to ask, how did you first get started and how did you get involved? And anyone else that's, watching at home that wants to get involved, what advice would you give to becoming involved like you are?
I think like any youngster, I think if you're 14 and above, you can look to do, non-circuit things such as the paddock and assembly area, get involved that way. And it's gives you a good knowledge base into what's required in terms of, what a driver needs to have on in terms of equipment, what the cars need to be, the checks they need to go through. And it helps you to understand the procedures and maybe listen to a bit of the radio as well. So anyone who's 14 to 16, 17, that's a great place to start and really, and it gives you a purpose and it builds your skills ready for future. And it's great on a CV as well.
Absolutely.
I think in terms of anybody who goes to watch motorsport in terms of an adult, if you like motorsport and you want to get involved, all you have to do is ask any marshal, go onto the BARC website, go onto the BMMC website and the other clubs out there as well. And make sure you put your name forward and get along to a taste today because you won't regret it. It's good, especially if you love motorsport.
Yeah, absolutely. Was there, when you first started getting involved, was there ever like a particular aim with it? Was there anywhere you wanted to particularly go with it?
No, I've always been the kind of person who wants to progress in anything that I do. So whether it's my role in football, whether it's my job, whether it's motorsport, I've always wanted to progress. I don't see any point in doing something if you're not wanting to push yourself as far as you can go. So I'm glad that I've managed to do that in terms of my safety car work, doing it in the UK, and I've done some stuff abroad as well. And through my marshalling, I managed to get near to the top where I could get in terms of a role, and now I want to become a clerk of the course and take that a step further. So I think world's your oyster, really. I think if you've got the skills and the passion, why not?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you mentioned your safety car work. How did you get involved with that, and how did that start, and what does that involve really?
So I went to Ian Watson, who's the race director for BTCC and clerk of the course for many other events, and worked at the BARC for many years. Lots of people know him, and I was shadowing the clerks of the course when I was 17 years old at Castle Combe with the old Dunlop Great and British series. And the safety car observer didn't turn up on the Saturday. So Ian turned to me and said, would I do it? And I agreed. And then I really enjoyed the role, really enjoyed, being involved in that side of things. And the week after, he asked me to do World Series by Renault at Silverstone, which was live on telly, a massive event. And blessing the late Pete Harris, who I've taken over from it at British Touring Cars. He was my mentor at that point. And really, he was the guy that I phoned for advice, the guy that passed on so much knowledge that he had to help me, get used to the role, especially my second time doing a live television event, which was quite tough, to be honest. Yeah. And I was with a driver who was French, who didn't really speak a word of English.
Yeah.
So there was that balance as well, but we came through unscathed. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, I was going to mention, are there any sort of, what is the most difficult part about the job, or do you still get stressed about this sort of thing? Because it seems, racetracks, when there's been an incident, it can be pretty nerve-wracking. And to be fair, fair play and thank you to people like you and all our marshals, because without you guys, we wouldn't be racing at all.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get stressed, and I think working at the British Touring Cars, I work with Scott Stringfellow, who's been doing this now for 17 years in this championship, and many other events as well. So Scott has really helped me to learn the process of the Toca meetings and bed in, and now I've got my feet under the table as such. I kind of put my own spin on things as well, and me and Scott are a great team.
Yeah,
I think the job is really enjoyable. It all depends on who you work with, whether that's the observer or the driver. You have to get on because you sat together all day, all weekend. I mean, me and Scott share a room on a Saturday night, so we are literally together for 2 days solid. So you have to make sure you get on. You've got a bit of banter and a bit of sense of humour between you. But I don't get stressed. The hardest part of the job, I would say, is it's all about logistics and making sure that you know where to be, when to be there, so the people in race control aren't chasing you.
Yeah.
And it's all about knowing and managing your timetable.
Yeah.
The calls, getting called out, that's pretty much the easy bit, because if you're good at the job, you should be switched on. And as soon as that radio goes, you answer it and you get on it, and it's all about getting in front of the leader, which for me is, I find the easy bit.
Yeah.
It's the logistics that make up a lot of the day, working that out.
Absolutely. Well, it must be super cool sort of working within the Toca package and the Toca paddock. What would you say is the best thing about your job?
The people, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, it's great being involved in such a prestigious championship. I'm honoured and I'm lucky to be in the position I am, and I know that. But ultimately, I'm a fan. Yeah. And I'm good friends with a lot of the touring car fans, and I have as much banter with them as they do with other people, and it's just, I just like the people and the atmosphere of the whole weekend. The management team at Toca are great. The management team, such as Alan Gow and Dan Mayer, they've really welcomed me into the team, and for me, that was in the circumstances of which I took over. It was quite awkward at first. I think anybody would feel awkward in that situation, but I've kind of, they helped me and allowed me to flourish in that role. So it's the people is the best part. The racing's great.
Yeah,
I don't always get to see a lot of that, unfortunately.
You obviously mentioned the people involved. As being part of the safety car team, are you allowed a favorite driver?
I don't have a favourite driver now. I mean, I'm friends with quite a few drivers within the Toca paddock, and I follow them. I follow their results. I may go for the odd drink with them of an evening, but I wouldn't say I've got a favourite. I have to be impartial, and there's no problem following them. But I wouldn't say I want so and so to win, or
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you obviously mentioned, I suppose, as you said, you missed quite a lot of the racing, but I presume you have been following this year's touring cars, whether it's been obviously at circuit and on ITV.
Yeah, so I always record it and watch it back, because obviously when you go to somewhere like Snetterton, I'm sat there and all I can see is a pit wall.
Yeah.
So yes, we lead the green flag. Like, yes, we come out in the race, etc. But you can follow it on TSL, or if you're lucky enough, we have a big screen, which is great sometimes. But somewhere like Snetterton, you don't get that. So it's always good to come home and enjoy a day's racing. You know, even though you've been there, it's nice to see what happened during the day.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, I can't believe, you know, we've finished the season now. Obviously, we had a fantastic time at Brands Hatch GP recently. What would you say has been your highlight of the season?
I think that I've really enjoyed, and like I said, I don't have a favourite driver, but I've really enjoyed seeing Jake Hill flourish in that car and really push on. Even I was at Goodwood recently, which I know is off the Toca subject, but Goodwood recently, when he had that brilliant race with Craig Davis, and you know, that it's just great seeing young lads come through the package, and then, you know, one day he will be a champion one day, mark my words. And you know, and it's just nice. He's a nice guy, so I like seeing things like that happen. You know, I follow Max Bird as well in the minis. He's again another person who has really come on. What a great race that was, that mini race at Brown. But yeah, I've enjoyed the whole season, to be honest, and the battles. You know, the Porsche racing's been great. You know, between Camish, Hannafin, Jewis, you know, it's been a great battle and great season. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know, you mentioned the minis, obviously touring cars and the Porsches. For me, they've been my three favourite championships. Obviously, not really a surprise with touring cars, but the minis have been fantastic. What did you make of that final race at Brands? Because that was crazy. There was several lead changes on each lap.
Yeah, to be honest, me and Scott were sat there ready to come out because we thought it was going to be carnage, but it wasn't in the end. It was an absolute great race. They gave each other room. They battled. Such a shame for Bobby Thompson, you know, but it was brilliant to watch. I mean, we had a big screen at Brands and we sat there watching it in awe. It was excellent. And, you know, well done to Dan Zelos in the end, win the championship. And, you know, you can't get any better than watching racing like that.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously, you know, good result for Max Coates to finish off the season. You know, winning the final race of the season. Surely he'll be one to look out for next year.
Max Coates will be for sure, and you know, I feel for Max because he's always there or thereabouts, and never has the luck.
Yeah.
You know, so for him to finish the season strongly like that is good, and hopefully, you know, they've announced their plans for 2023, and hopefully joining the touring car package. So that'll be great to see Max in the package, and you know, in the touring cars, and pushing on hopefully like Jake Hill has.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I was going to mention, because the minis, what's so interesting about them, the racing's obviously brilliant, but also you see all these, you know, young and up and coming drivers, you know, that are hoping to get into BTCC soon. What do you think makes for the mini challenge such a great championship?
I think any one make series, you know, is going to be close. You know, Ginetta Juniors, that's close as well. I think, but with the minis, the talent, there's so much talent throughout that grid. You know, even towards the back of the grid, there is a lot of talent, and people that will come into it a bit more in the next couple of years. You know, people like Joe Tanner.
Yeah.
You know, these people have talent and they're good drivers. They just don't have a lot of luck.
Yeah.
And there's some great teams in the championship as well. And I think, you know, well prepared cars. It's a well run championship, and I'm glad it's going to stay on the package because it's brilliant to watch at times.
Yeah. Another championship that you mentioned earlier, which I've really enjoyed following, has been the Porsche Carrera Cup, which, you know, after last season, brilliant, you know, performance by Harry King, you know, completely blew the field away. But this year we've had one of the most competitive seasons of the championship. How much have you enjoyed in following that as well? And obviously great to see Dan Camish as well win it this year.
Yeah, I mean, the Porsches, I'm not going to lie, normally when I watch them, you know, when Harry was driving through the field last year, you know, different quality. And again, a nice guy and fully deserves it. But this year it's been a breath of fresh air to have such a battle in the Porsche Carrera Cup. You know, to see Dan Camish up there again, you know, he's such a calm guy. I've sat there in the assembly area ready to go out, and he's there with his eyes closed, asleep in the car, and you think, wow, that's chilled for you. But Hannafin, been in it now, I think 2 years, and he really come on this year, and it's I'm just delighted to see such a battle in them cars. And next year, that new car, I don't know if you've seen it, Lewis, but
yeah,
it looks amazing, and I saw it testing at Thruxton earlier in the season, and it's very, very quick.
Yeah,
it's going to be another good year, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I spoke to a few of the Porsche drivers over the season and discussing, because they had a test day, I remember, at Silverstone, where all the drivers got to test next year's car, and they've all said really good things about it. They've all been really positive about it, and I think that just shows how committed Porsche is and the championship is with being on the Toca package. And yeah, it's good to see. Yeah,
that's right. And I think it's a great marquee name, Porsche, and we're delighted to use them as safety cars as well, because they are lovely cars, and they don't half go, I tell you. So they're very lucky to be able to use a couple of Porsches. It's brilliant.
Yeah, definitely. Well, someone I did want to mention is Ash Sutton, our champion this season. He's driven brilliantly this year. What have you made of his performances this season?
Yeah, I think Ash is on another level, really. He's committed. He puts his car places where others don't, and I think that's part of the reason why he gets through the field so well. I know there's always talk of rear wheel drive and front wheel drive, but for me, you watch Ash, and he's just on it every time. Consistency is the key. He collects points, which ultimately at the end of the championship puts you in the hunt. And what can you say? He's won the title again, and I think you don't win the British Touring Car title that many times if you're not a very good driver. And I can see him going on to other things. Be delighted if he continued in the championship for many years to come. But I would like to see him in, other things abroad, maybe other touring car championships, just to see how he fared, because he's, another top guy.
Yeah, for sure. Another driver that's performed really well, especially in the first half of the year, was Tom Ingram. Now, obviously, there was lots of discussion at the start of the year about him moving teams. Did you expect him to do so well this season?
Yeah, I mean, Tom's been in the championship for ages now. He's for me, he's another driver that can develop a car. Jason Plato, you've seen him in the past get in a car and develop it into a race-winning car, and Tom's the same for me. The Hyundais, they are a great car, but if you have a driver like Tom in it, much the same as Ash in the Infinity, they'll be up the sharp end, because they know what they're doing, and they know how to make a car tick. And they've if you've got a great relationship between you and the engineer to develop a car, then it's going to go well, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. And definitely, I think someone to watch next season. You've been brilliant in this interview. I won't keep you for too much longer. So obviously, thank you for coming on the show. We've obviously got the off season now, and obviously the beginning of silly seasons. All the drivers, they change teams and new sponsors coming in and out. As a motorsport fan, and obviously someone like you that's been so involved with the championship over this season, with actually working in it. With the off season, do you switch off from it a bit, or do you keep on following it, or is it time for a bit of a rest?
No, I still watch motorsport. That's on. Formula One's still going. Yeah. I still, keep a lookout what's going on, who's changing teams, any announcements.
Yeah.
I'm off to Dubai 24 hours again in January, which is, again, very lucky to go out there.
Yeah.
I'd love to go to the Autosport show. Unfortunately, that clashes. But yeah, no, I'm just looking forward to the new season, seeing who's in what car. I see Tom Chilton's moving on.
Yeah.
Whether he stays in the championship or not, I don't know. But again, it would be great to see him in, maybe one of the Hyundais or
Yeah.
See how that goes. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'd like to see Dan Camish back.
Yeah.
If I'm honest. And yeah, I do keep an eye, and yeah, just it's excitement more than anything. I think much as same as any fans, can't wait to get back there, and you miss it as soon as it's finished. So
yeah, absolutely. It'll be interesting, to be fair, with Dan Camish, because when we were discussing him earlier, I didn't know whether he was going to, because I think he said he had he had an option to actually stay in touring cars with BTC, but he's stuck in the Porsches, and it'll be interesting to see what he does do next season. I think a lot of people are discussing about how he'd do in the BTCC, rear wheel drive, because he's a bit of an expert with the Porsches, but he still performed well in the front wheel drive Honda, last season and the years before.
Yeah, I mean, as far as everyone's aware, there's still a relationship there with Team Dynamics. So, maybe we'll come back into that car eventually. Who knows? But it'd be great to see him back in the championship, because he's, he is a talent, and that's what you need in the championship. Yeah. For me, there's so many talented drivers who don't go any further because of budget, and it's disappointing, really. In the Formula 4s this year, Abby Pulling had to stop because of budget issues, and she's been going on to do well in W Series, and it's such a shame that these drivers who struggle for budget but have talent, these days don't get picked up. And I understand it; it's a business, but it's such a shame to see.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely an interesting topic, but yeah, thank you so very much for coming on the show for a chat. It's been really interesting hearing about your involvement with the Toca package, and enjoy the off season as much as you can, I suppose.
No worries, Lewis. Pleasure.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much, and I suppose it won't be too long before we're looking to next season, and the chaos will continue.
That's right. No worries. Top stuff.